My name is Lawrence Schafer, and I am a Senior Chief Electronic Technician. I'm from Michigan, but I had finished my education more or less, and I had moved to San Francisco. And I was working in San Francisco. I had been out there about 6 months. And a couple weeks before Christmas of 1961, I got a telephone from my mother from Michigan. She said, "Larry, I just came back from the post office. I put your Christmas gift in the mail, and I came home and you have a pre-induction physical notice." Wow. I didn't know my number, draft number, whatever. They had numbers then. I didn't know what it was. But I was smart enough to figure out that pre-induction meant something not good was coming. So I took a day off of work and I went to the federal buildings in San Francisco and visited with all the recruiters. And a long story short, when I got to the Navy recruiter, they had pictures of Poseidon missiles and submarines and aircraft carriers and everything, you know, and I said, I can learn something here. I don't want to work in a gun crew. So I said, okay, I'm going to join the Navy, and I did join the Navy. I signed up in San Francisco, and they said, come back Monday or so, and we'll get you down to San Diego to boot camp. I went back Monday, and the petty officer there hands me a bus ticket to San Diego. I said, what's this? He says, a bus ticket to San Diego. I said, I'm not riding a bus to San Diego. He said, well, what do you want to do, fly? I said, yeah. So he gave me a ticket and I flew. When I showed up in San Diego, there was a bus from the airport that took me to the San Diego Navy NTC, Naval Training Center, San Diego. I was the only one that had a necktie and a sport coat on. Company commander, I didn't know who he was, but he turned out he was the company commander, came up to me. He said, who are you? And I told him. He said, have you ever been to college? I said, no, he didn't ask me that question. He didn't ask me that question. He said, you're going to be my company commander. I was tall, big, trim, you know, and everything else. He said, and you'll do that until I decide I want to pick one that I really want for company commander. I said, that's okay. He said, have you ever been to college? I said, yes. He says, you're going to be my company yeoman. So right away, I'm the company yeoman. I have an office in the barracks, and I make out watch bills. Never had to stand a watch. Didn't have to carry a gun, carried a bayonet. Had march, but it was pretty good. So boot camp was very nice. I did catch the flu, spent a couple of nights in the hospital. Only time in my life I've ever been in a hospital, but it was all right. And I got out of boot camp and took the tests, and they sent me on my way to Treasure Island. I was selected for electronic training, which is right homing in on what I wanted to do. And they sent me after boot camp for 1 year of school at an electronic technician A school. And when I finished boot camp, I went back to Michigan because I was on leave for 30 days, and then I had to go to Treasure Island. And I think I got a plane back to California, and I went to Treasure Island, and I checked in there, and right away, I was about 22 years old. I checked into Treasure Island, and they said, okay, here's our teaching schedule, 8 to 5, and you're going to go into class, and there's different phases of A school training. But about the third day, they said, we've determined that we have too many students, we're going to go in 2 shifts. 5 to noon, and noon to 8. I said, I want noon to 8. Not thinking about what happened in the morning. Didn't know, but I knew what happened because I was 22 years old in San Francisco for almost a year or so. I said, I'm going to be over in town. And I said, I got that shift, and it turned out that you also could be a late sleeper. So you didn't have to get up at 8 o'clock, you didn't have to clean the barracks, you didn't do anything like that. All the right things were falling in place, you know? So, and I got through A school. It's actually 48 weeks, so it was really pretty nice and good education. And I found out a lot about electronics that I didn't know when I went in the Navy. After I completed that, I was sent to submarine school. During the submarine school, we had gone out on what we call a school boat. We'd go out in Long Island Sound, and we'd do 8 dives in the morning, and they would come in, and they'd get another class on board, and they'd go out and do 8 dives in the afternoon, and that was the cycle they were on when you were on a school boat. So at first I would go on, and we'd go through the different stations, watching the dive, watching the people do what they do when they dive, trying to figure out what it was, trying to relate it to what we were studying, and it all kind of caught up, but it all was exciting. And the first boat that I was sent to was in fact the Bang.